This video will discuss some recent activities of two Chinese GEO satellites, Shiyan 12-1 and Shiyan 12-2. First, let's review SY-12-1's activities. We've identified two satellites of interest that are in close proximity with 12-1. These satellites are Telkom 1 and Intelsat 29E. The point of closest approach between SY-12-1 and Telkom 1 occurred at 50.29 kilometers. Radial, in-track, cross-track values in this graph show that the closest approach was on April 12, 2024. The point of closest approach between SY-12-1 and Intelsat 29E occurred at 21.96 kilometers. This RIC graph also shows a similar flyby with closest approach on April 11, 2024. The collision probability was observed to be below all normal standards of conjunction, meaning minimal risk of collision. The minimum separation between the two covariant spheres at time of closest approach was 28.75 kilometers for Telkom 1 and 9.66 kilometers for Intelsat 29E as observed here. Even though the collision risk is low, the distance between the active non-cooperative satellites was fairly close. For SY-12-2, which occupies a different position on the GEO belt, we observed encounters with two satellites. SY-12-2 and EutalSat 172b had a close approach around 54.88 kilometers. The collision probability was low at 3.59 times 10 to the minus 21st, but the minimum separation between their covariant spheres at time of closest approach was approximately 43.83 kilometers for EutalSat 172b. This RIC graph shows an approach occurred April 11th, and then the satellites drifted apart again. SY-12-2 and Horizons 3E had a close approach at around 79.82 kilometers. The collision probability was also low at 1.1439 times 10 to the minus 20th, with a minimum separation at 52.73 kilometers. This RIC graph shows the close approach around April 16th. For each event, we analyzed the lighting conditions and whether or not they were suitable for imaging. To do this, we looked at the solar phase angle. The solar phase angle is the angle from observer to target to the sun. A solar phase angle less than 90 degrees indicates optimal illumination conditions, whereas angles beyond 90 degrees present challenges due to the angle of reflection off of the target object. For the observation of Telkom 1 by SY-12-1, the solar phase angle was 93.85 degrees at time of closest approach. For the observation of Intelsat 29E by SY-12-1, the solar phase angle was 153.95 degrees, indicating less optimal conditions. For EutalSat 172b, observed by SY-12-2, the solar phase angle was 83.44 degrees, which is acceptable. Similarly, for Horizons 3E, observed by SY-12-2, the solar phase angle was 117.17 degrees, also within acceptable range. It's important to note that the imaging suppositions we are making are assumptions based on the possibility that SY-12-1 and SY-12-2 are conducting inspection missions on the other satellites mentioned. These assumptions are made due to the lack of precise data regarding the intentions of these satellites. In summary, while the collision risks are minimal, close encounters warrant attention.